I, 22 live with my parents, 55 plus, and my dad is paranoid that I had and abandoned a baby and am promiscuous. Let me start this off completely frankly, I am a virgin, so there is no possible way for me to have had a baby with someone, let alone be a deadbeat dad. My dad thinks I'm not a virgin because 1, back in high school my best friend was a girl, let's call her Maria, and 2, my dad, to his regret, had his first child right around the beginning of college. Maria would visit us and we would play Smash, the video game. We were kind of inseparable, so I get why people would think she's my GF. Granted, we were close enough that at one point I opened the door to let her in while shirtless, but we didn't bang. Anyway, fast forward to college, and my dad gives me a couple of calls saying he thinks he saw Maria with a baby, and that he was pretty sure she had one. I assured him that, no, Maria's older sister had a baby, which Maria occasionally took care of, and Maria's finishing her degree. He kind of kept pushing that she had a baby, as if he was certain and it was somehow important that I knew this. I haven't talked to Maria in a long time. He stopped bringing her up, and whenever my mom brought up Maria, I would say we grew apart, I don't really want to hang out with her anymore, and my dad would try to change topic of conversation. Now my mom found a shitton of my condoms from college. I took these because they were cheaper from college and BC hopefully after corona there'll be some use for them, and my dad made the comment that it's interesting I didn't go on a walk today, implying I didn't have access to these condoms so no reason to go on a walk. Basically, he thinks I'm out there slinging puss 5 days per week. I mean, have they seen Mila Mao? If anything I give off massive gay vibes. That's why I had a girl BF in high school. Anyway, the reason this is an issue is, 1, I don't want my dad to think I'm a deadbeat dad. That's incredibly stupid and presumptive. But he's also so technologically illiterate he won't accept FB evidence, and I don't want to call Maria directly because I'm not friends with her anymore. 2, my parents and sister are Christian and will be disappointed if they think I had sex before marriage. I plan to, but I don't want that to be a topic of conversation or for this to be why they think I have had sex before marriage. Too long didn't read, I am a virgin. I want to convince my parents I'm not a deadbeat dad and I'm not promiscuous because they'll be disappointed in me if I am. They're Christian/Catholic, but they won't accept FB evidence of Maria graduating college without a baby. But I also don't want to contact Maria, the girl my dad thinks I had a baby with, because we're not close friends anymore. Your dad has trauma from having a baby young and is projecting onto you to make sure you don't make the same mistake. Firstly, this seems to be a ton of assumptions on your part. There's no real evidence they believe the things you think they believe. If it ever comes up explicitly, flat out tell them I'm not promiscuous and I'm not the father of a child. That's the truth, there's nothing to discuss. Believe me or not. But if you don't believe me, your distrust will damage our relationship in the future, and that will be your fault not mine, because I've done nothing wrong and have told you the truth. Now, do you accept this? Or do you want to call me a liar to my face? Beyond that, just leave it alone and stop freaking yourself out. The thing is, I know it seems a bit far-fetched. My parents do this thing where they think something and don't say anything about it until it spills over in some bigger argument or discussion. So there's just tension, until the thing comes up. They've believed super/bizarre things before. I think it'd be great if you could take me at my word, even if I don't remember exact quotes. I agree with you. That seems like the most reasonable thing. I get a general sense of tension about topics like these with my parents, but I guess I can pretend nothing is happening until they bring it up explicitly. 1. Tell your dad you and Maria never had sex. She doesn't have a baby, and you were always just friends. 2. Tell him you don't appreciate him calling you a liar when you've told him flat out that there is no way the two of you could have procreated. That every time he questions you, he is damaging your relationship and he's pushing you away. That you won't be in college and living with him forever, and the type of relationship you have when that happens depends on how he treats you now. 3. Tell him your sex life isn't his business, you're an adult and everyone has the right to keep their sex life private, and that it is no longer up for discussion. 4. Put up some boundaries. If he starts in on this topic, leave the room, leave the house. Refuse to engage. You mentioned that you give off some gay vibes. Could it be that he's secretly hoping you are getting it on with the ladies? Maybe. Think he thought Maria and I were a thing, so that's inconsistent. But I once practiced a dance piece at home with a dude friend and my dad asked me if the dude friend is gay. Might have been skirting around his actual question, and he seemed relieved when I told him he's not. It's hard to say. He says so few of his controversial thoughts out loud nowadays that I have to assume bullshit. At this point, I really think I should just move because it's so unhealthy, even if the rent will be more expensive. Has your dad actually said anything other than whatever about you going on a walk? Because nothing here sounds like he's paranoid at all. It sounds like you're reading some lines that, from what you've said, are very faint. Are you upset about being a Virginia? Because 22 is not a big deal at all. I'm not upset about it, no. I think I've largely been preoccupied. But my dad has expressed really bizarre stuff before, and he's just less willing to say it directly in this instance. As an example, once my dad disconnected my router because he saw a news story about a boy, of my ethnicity, that had been communicating with Al-Qaeda online, and he was worried I'd do the same. He can believe some really bizarre stuff, and I think he has become less outspoken over the years, but he'll still give out some major hints. Former friend ignored me when I needed her. Now she wants my help as her health is failing. She's 32F and I'm 27M. For context, I'm 27M and the woman in question is 32F. We met when I was 22, in a university-led lupus support group. I was alone and recently diagnosed. The support group was helpful and Lucy was a mentor to me. I was young at the time and more awkward. I asked a lot of questions from dealing with exam accommodations, paying for meds to dating, and even sex. As she was a graduate student, she was helpful in dealing with the stress of applying to medical school. I never had any romantic intentions and the feeling was mutual. After starting medical school, we all kept in touch via Facebook and WhatsApp threads. Unfortunately, it never regained its luster. I tried to stay in touch with people and wanted to do Skype sessions but nothing materialized. Last year, as a resident I did a month of rheumatology. It was tough not to internalizing my disease. A young 26-year-old came in with a pretty bad infection during a lupus flare and told me she didn't want to die. 2 days later, she went to the ICU and never made it out. I really needed to talk to someone about this. My family couldn't understand. I thought Lucy would understand given our diagnosis. I reached out to Lucy during Christmas 2019. She would be a good person to discuss things. I kept suggesting plans and she was vague. I was very insistent but polite. Frankly was at a low point. She eventually just faded and never replied. I learned through the other members that I was creeping her out. She kept trying to let me down gently and I wouldn't take no for an answer. I was very offended. I wasn't even thinking in that direction and frankly, I thought having a life-altering disease meant we didn't think so little of each other. No one cared enough to hear me out and I vowed never to talk to her again. Just last week, Lucy tried calling me twice and left me messages. She seems emotionally upset. Her lupus is flaring. Her rheumatologist retired and she needs help finding a new doctor. She's scared of COVID. She's now worried about entering into long-term chronic kidney disease and is freaking out. She wants my guidance and recommendations. Her new meds in the era of COVID are scaring her. I read the messages but ignored them. Our support group keeps messaging. I'm not talking to them either. My family told me to be gentle and as a doctor to help. I am also hurt by what Lucy did last year. I know what that desperation is like. Knowing your disease can take over and you can tip over to extremely low points in your health. However, my ego/pride/self-worth wants me to ignore her. Would be the arsehole if I never replied. Too long didn't read. A former co-lupus sufferer ignored me when I needed it. She now wants my help. What should I do? You're not her physician, so, in my mind, you have no responsibility to her. She was unbearably unkind to you at a very low point and rather than actually talk to you, she talked smack about you to other members in the support group. Really? It's also mind-boggling that the group members are telling you to step up. All of that group drama aside, I am so very impressed that you were able to navigate med school in the face of lupus. You keep your healthy limits with your former friend and the support group and you live your best life. If you know of anyone, I'd give her the name of a new rheumatologist and wish her luck. Don't take on the job of being her support system when she wasn't there for you. The top comment is pretty good, especially regarding your communication towards her. But I think their suggestion on what you should tell the group would just make you look salty and bitter, especially if it's true you weren't that clear communicating with her. If it's really only your ego/pride you're trying to preserve, then skip that. Go help Lucy. Be the bigger person. Treat people how you want to be treated. You're a doctor/becoming a doctor. There's going to be plenty of times you're going to have to help someone you may not think deserves it. Use this as practice for those times. You can absolutely talk to Lucy about how she made you feel when she's in a better place, but anytime soon is not the time. But if you don't help her now and write her off, when she's in an actual health crisis, then she's always going to think you were some self-centered asshole who didn't actually care about her. If you're okay with that, that's fine, but you have a chance to do some good and actually clear the air with her. I kept suggesting plans and she was vague. I was very insistent but polite. This sounds like unclear communication to me. Had you said, I was just on a rheumatology rotation and saw a 26-year-old die and I'm freaking out, I'm guessing you would have gotten a far different response than if you were trying to arrange plans to talk about some unknown topic. If you had said what I proposed above, no way would she have said you were creeping her out. I understand you're salty about being abandoned at a low point, but if you didn't communicate what was really going on with you, then it's not entirely on her. My philosophy is that it's always better to clear the air so everyone knows where things really stand. Right now the group thinks you're abandoning a fellow sufferer in crisis because she didn't respond to your romantic overtures. I would tell them, look, last year I tried reaching out when I was on a rheumatology rotation and saw a 26-year-old die and I was freaking out. She refused to talk to me and I went through that alone, and then had everyone treat me like some kind of stalker. I can't find it in me to be there for her when not only was she not there for me, but she spread it around that I was being inappropriate, so that nobody in the group was there for me. Please don't contact me anymore about this. I would just keep ignoring. If people get too pushy, tell them or her that she created this boundary. She made it clear that she was uncomfortable with you and didn't want to be involved. You're just upholding the boundary she created. Advice needed. My boyfriend came out. Hey, okay, so I am a bisexual girl, F17, and I am dating a guy, M18. We got together in college 8.5 months ago and he's in uni now. It might seem stupid to some, but I have never needed a person more and am so in love, and we have been discussing the further since the first few months of being together, e.g. marriage, kids, living together, etc. Anyways, I have known I'm bi since I was about 12 and have had experience with girls online and in real life, and got to securely confirm I knew who I was because of these. A few days ago my boyfriend opened up to me. He told me that he was attracted to a few guys online and had W&K'd to them. And basically, he knew he was attracted to them but was super ashamed of it and still was. It took a long conversation to explain to him it was okay, perfectly fine, and he was still the same person no matter who he was attracted to, and it didn't have to change him. And that I loved him, supported him, etc. Bless him, smile. Since then, he has told one of his flatmates, which I'm so proud of, and talked to her about his feelings, and she told him similar things, but I've got some things I need advice on. I feel bad for him because I got to at least explore this side of me so much before I got with him. However, he's never had the opportunity for this because he hated it for so long. A part of me is scared that I'm stealing that vital opportunity for him to explore who he is. Should I ask him if he would like to maybe have a chance to do this? I don't want to leave him. I don't think I would mentally even last a day if he broke up with me. He really is my whole world. I mean, like, let him go on a date or hook up with a guy just to let him explore it. He loves me so much and I'm pretty sure he wouldn't want to because he would feel bad, but I just want to give him the chance. because also I'm scared maybe he will want to and it will build up resentment against me that he never had that opportunity of such important self-discovery. I just love him so much and I want him to be comfortable in himself and be able to know who he is. Smile. Any advice would be appreciated, thank you. X. Too long didn't read. My boyfriend says he likes guys, has hated for so long. I've had the chance to experiment, he hasn't. Should I give him the opportunity?